Hello, my name is Juliana. I am a student ambassador here at Cerritos College, and in this video I will be showing you how to apply and enroll successfully at Cerritos College. The first thing you're going to do is go to cerritos.edu, or you can look up Cerritos College and click the first link that pops up. You're going to be on the home page and you're going to go to the right hand side of your screen where it says apply now.
After going to our home page, you want to go to the top right-hand side of your screen where you will see a yellow banner or tab that says Apply Now. Feel free to click on it and it will take you to another window where you will begin your application to Cerritos College.
After you click Apply Now, you will be redirected to this page. Here you will be creating an open CCC account so that you could apply to Cerritos College or any other community college in your area. The Open CCC account is a portal for anyone applying to the California Community College system. Feel free to sign in if you have applied to any other community college in California before, or create an account if you have not. So once you reach this page, it indicates that you must have an email address. So if you do not already have a free email account, you can use either one of these sources. So Google Gmail, Yahoo Email, Microsoft Outlook, or you can look into other providers. It's very important that when you're creating the email that you do not use your high school email address if you are a high school student, because when you go back to try to access the account information after you graduate, then that high school email address will have been deactivated and you will no longer be able to access that information. So please use a private email address that you will use frequently. Here you will be directed to fill out personal information. First, you're going to put in your first name, your middle name, and your last name. There is also an option to check these boxes if you do not have a first name or if you do not have a middle name. Feel free to click the appropriate suffix, and you can also input whether you have a previous name, such as a maiden name, or a preferred name that is different from your legal and or previous name. So the first thing you need to do on this page is to input your date of birth. So you're going to select the correct month, day, and year of your birthday, and you're going to confirm it. And then in the next box, there comes the social security information. So if you plan to apply for admission to college or financial aid, you have to click that box. And the social security number will be used to match your student records and make the financial aid process easier. So please have that in front of you when you are ready to apply. For students who have a social security number or taxpayer ID number, you will fill out the information accordingly. So you will first click whether you have the social security number or taxpayer ID number, and then you're going to input this number in both of those boxes below. If you do not know if you have a social security number, it is really important that you communicate with your parent or guardian so that they can provide it to you. Because if you do not, you will have to follow the steps in the next slide. Now, for some students, having a social security number can look different. So the first option, check this box if you do not have a social security number or taxpayer ID number or decline to provide one at the time. You will click that if you do not have a social security number. And then the second option, I am an international student, non-resident alien, or other exception and do not have a social security number or taxpayer ID number. You're going to check that if you are an international student or undocumented student. So that way the application will recognize that you do not have a social security number because of your legal residency or citizenship status. Again, this is a reminder to use a personal email because if you're graduating out of high school, your high school email address will be deactivated and therefore you will not be able to get notifications from Cerritos College or your professors. After you put in your personal email address, you're going to input a telephone number, whether that be a home phone or a cell phone number.
For the permanent address portion, it is essential to fill out accurately. For those of you who have a permanent address outside of the United States, click on the first option. The second option is for those of you who are currently homeless or have housing insecurity issues. This box should only be checked if it applies to your current housing status. While it may affect residency, it is not the only deciding factor. If neither of the situations apply to you, then put your street address, city, state, and zip code accurately in the boxes below so they can determine if you qualify for in-state or out-of-state tuition.
For this step, you will be able to create a username and password for the account. For the username, it has to be a minimum of 6 characters, and for the password, it has to be between 7 to 20 characters. Please record your username and password in a safe place so you can remember it when you need to access the account again. And then finally, you will be able to put a security PIN, so a 4-digit number so that you can enter into the account. Security questions can sometimes confuse our students because these questions are questions that are only answerable by the person making the account. So some examples of questions they could ask you for the security questions include: what is the maiden name of your mother? What is your favorite color? What elementary school did you attend? And those are questions that only you, the person making the account, will be able to answer. So it's important to take a picture or write down the answer to the security questions so that when you go back in case you forget your username or password, you are able to answer those questions accurately and you'll be able to get the information needed to log into your account. And then when you're done, you're going to click I'm not a robot. And then finally, you're going to create your account, which is located at the bottom left of your screen. Your CCC ID account has now been created. Please click Continue. So when you're done, you should receive an email from the OpenCCC saying that you have successfully completed your creating an OpenCCC account. This is again just a reminder that you have finished completing an account that will allow you to apply to multiple community colleges at a time. So for example, if you're a student who lives nearby Long Beach City College, Cerritos College, and Cypress College, this account will allow you to apply to all 3 of those community colleges. This does not mean you have completed the application process for Cerritos College, and you must continue for the rest of this presentation to see how you can finish applying to Cerritos College. Here you will need to indicate what term you plan on enrolling in, and also what your educational goal and intended major or program of study is. If you plan on taking classes in the summer, which run from May to July, you will click Summer. If you plan on taking classes in the fall, which run from August to December, you will click Fall. And finally, if you plan on starting January through May, then you will click Spring. In the intended major or program of study, you're going to see a code. They are either indicated as AA, AB, AC, or undecided AA transfer. Your AA is for students who are interested in obtaining an associate's degree at Cerritos College. Your AB is for students who are interested in attending a CSU after they finish their time at Cerritos College. And then the AC option is for students who are interested in transferring to a UC system after they have attended Cerritos College. If you are unsure of what your major is, feel free to select undecided AA transfer.
At this point, you can review your OpenCCC account information to make sure you have input the information correctly. When you have double-checked that the information you entered is correct, you can transfer that information over to the college application for Cerritos College. If your mailing address is the same as the permanent address on your My OpenCCC account above, you will click that first box. The second box means your current mailing address is outside of the United States. Thirdly, if your address is different than what you initially entered on your OpenCCC account, you will enter that information in the boxes below.
If you decide to roll over the information from the OpenCCC account, it will go ahead and transfer the information to your account. Notice here that it also indicates what information that they did not get when you applied for your OpenCCC account. So at this time, if you still have not provided your social security number, you can input it through this college application for Cerritos College. So this is regarding any parent or guardian information, and it will determine whether you are considered an independent or dependent student. So it is essential that you fill this out accurately. So if any of those bottom statements are true, you will click at least one of the following statements is true about me. If none of those statements above are true, then you will click the second option. If you are a high school student looking to enroll in Cerritos College as a freshman, you're going to select first-time student in college after leaving high school. If you are a graduating high school senior completing this application, you will select the first option, received high school diploma from U.S. school. If you are coming straight out of high school, you want to select I attended high school as the last high school attended. It will ask you to indicate the country you attended high school, the state you attended high school, and then you can begin to enter the name or city of your high school. And then you can make a selection from the list. Depending on how you fill out this information, you will be guided to a different set of questions. So if you are a middle or high school student looking to take community college classes while you're in middle school or high school, also known as dual enrollment, you will click no, you have not completed the 11th grade. Then you will go to the college education level, and despite having taken community college classes, you will not have had enough units to obtain a degree, therefore you will say no degree. So if you are a senior, the information you fill out here is going to look different than other high school students. So you will select that yes, you have completed the 11th grade. You will indicate your unweighted high school GPA from a scale of 0.00 and 4.0. You will indicate the highest English course you completed in high school, and then you will also indicate the highest math course that you completed in high school. Regardless of whether you have completed dual enrollment classes throughout your time in middle school or high school, you will select none because you are a first-time college freshman, and therefore you need to indicate that you have not attended any colleges formally to obtain a degree. We have now reached the citizenship and military section of our application. This part is extremely important to fill out because if it is filled out inaccurately, it could affect the rate that you are required to pay at Cerritos College. If you are a U.S. citizen, you will select U.S. citizen. If you are a permanent resident, temporary resident, amnesty, refugee, or asylee, you must select either of those options, and then you will be guided to a series of questions that will inquire about your residency status. And finally, if you are an undocumented student, you need to select Other and then check your eligibility for AB 540. This can be done through our Admissions and Records Office at Cerritos College. This question can give students resources depending on if they themselves served in the military or if they have family members such as a parent, guardian, or spouse that has served in the military. So please feel free to answer these questions if you're a high school student and your parents are in the military, or if you are a reentry student and you have had served time in the military before. This portion of the application further asks about your residency status here in the state of California. So if your parent or guardian has lived in California continuously since May 25th, you may select yes. If not, please select no. And then they will ask about out-of-state activities that your parent or guardian partook in. If they pay taxes outside of California, if they registered to vote outside of California, if you've declared residency at a college or university outside of California, or if you filed for a lawsuit or divorce outside of California. If your parent or guardian has engaged in any of the following activities, please select the option that is appropriate. This section can potentially provide you with resources on campus depending on what your residency status is. So if at any time in the last 24 months you were determined to be homeless by any of these following agencies, then you should select yes, because then they will direct you to resources so that you can be housing secure while you attend college. But if not, then feel free to click no. And for the second question, have you ever been in court-ordered foster care? They even hyperlinked it so you can obtain more information about what that statute means. Then feel free to click yes or no, depending on whether you are a former or current foster youth student or not. At this point in the application, you will be able to communicate your needs and interests, which will help us connect you to resources and programs at Cerritos College. If you have any questions about any of the programs that we will be discussing, feel free to visit our website, cerritos.edu/futurestudents, where you can connect with our outreach team and ask questions about the programs and services we offer at Cerritos College. For now, the first question they'll ask you to fill out is if you're comfortable reading and writing in English. Feel free to select yes or no. Clicking yes to this question can allow you to connect with resources on campus to receive information about money for college, so it is always recommended that you answer yes if you are interested in receiving information about money for college. And that way, students can be connected to resources to learn how they can fund their education. The next question, are you receiving TANF, CalWORKS, SSI, or General Assistance, is important because if you are receiving those programs, then you can qualify for some version of those programs on our campus. So please click yes. If you do not currently receive those government subsidies, then feel free to click no. The next question is regarding athletic interest. So if you're interested in participating in any of our athletics teams while you attend Cerritos College, then feel free to answer yes. We have intercollegiate teams. So that would be the answer to the first question. And if you are not interested in participating in a sport, then feel free to click no. Cerritos College offers many programs and services for our students to take a part in. If you feel that you qualify for any of these services, feel free to click as many or as few as you would like. This list is a continuation of all the services that you could potentially be interested in while you are here at Cerritos College, some of which include ESL, health services, housing information, employment assistance, online classes, re-entry program if you are a student coming back to school after 5 years, scholarship information, student government, testing, assessment, orientation, transfer information, tutoring services, and veteran services. If you click either of these boxes, you could potentially be connected to resources on campus regarding these programs and services. Cerritos College will now be asking some demographic questions so we can understand the student population we serve. So the first question is going to be regarding your gender identity and gender expression. Feel free to select any of the options that are provided for this question. Cerritos College uses this information to understand the demographics of the students we service. So, for the first box, regardless of your age, please indicate the education levels of the parents and or guardians who raised you. Feel free to answer those as you wish. And then for the second box is the race and ethnicity box. So this first half asks if you identify as a Hispanic or Latino student. So feel free to answer whether you do or do not identify as Hispanic or Latino. In this section, you'll be asked to check any of the ethnicity groups that you identify with below, such as Asian, American Indian or Alaskan Native, Black or African American, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, Middle Eastern or North African, and white. These are supplemental questions to our college application. If you previously attended this college, what is your 7-digit student ID number? So if you are someone who previously took classes here, whether as a dual enrollment student or if you took classes as a first-time freshman and are returning back to school, then feel free to pull up your 7-digit student ID number if you remember it and put it in this box. If you are a student who needs accessibility accommodations, you can click yes. Do you wish information regarding disability accommodations? And they will connect you to the SAS program or the Student Accessibility Services program on our campus. Following up with the Student Accessibility Services question, they will ask you which of these disabilities that you may have so that they can provide you with adequate resources on campus. Finally, with the personal information, they will ask you how many people do you support or provide more than half of your housing, food, and expenses, and what your total household income was in the previous year. Again, they're going to ask you what is your primary race and ethnicity, so feel free to answer that accordingly. They're going to ask about the student's marital status, so do not disclose the marital status of your parents. This is simply supplemental questions regarding our student body. They're going to ask if you are currently employed, if you've had experienced difficulty finding suitable employment, and do you intend to enroll in an occupational or vocational education program. And then below that, they'll ask whether you want to provide your business phone number or business phone extension if you work. And just out of simply understanding our student body, how many hours per week do you expect to work while attending Cerritos College? So feel free to disclose as many or as little details as you want in those supplemental questions. They will also ask you if you are a displaced homemaker, so if you are, feel free to click yes. And then they will ask you which student services are of interest to you. So are you an international student? Are you interested in being a part of our teacher training program? And are you interested in campus employment or work study? And then for the special interest questions, they will ask you whether you're interested in any of these categories, such as art, drama, music, personal fitness, physical skills, non-traditional careers, and college athletics. So if you previously indicated that you were interested in participating in an intercollegiate sport on our application, they will ask you to specify which sports you are interested in participating. So feel free to look at our Cerritos College Athletics website if you're interested in what sports we have to offer, and feel free to click which sports you are interested in participating in while you're at Cerritos College. The list of sports continues here on this slide. Feel free to pause here if you want to go to our Cerritos College Athletics page and start looking at what sports you are interested in participating in if you plan on competing collegiately. This section is important for first-time college freshmen to mark accurately when they are applying. Regardless of if you've taken dual enrollment or AP classes and received college credit, students should indicate that they are 0 through 29.9 units into their program, otherwise known as a freshman. Additionally, a common mistake students make is they try to include the units they have taken from high school. We do not factor in units you have taken throughout your time in high school in college admissions. So therefore, you want to, again, click 0 through 29.9 units or freshman. Additionally, you want to select that you are currently in high school. They will ask you for your high school GPA, and then they will ask you for your high school graduation year. And then at the bottom, if you are currently receiving benefits from AFDC or SSI, feel free to click your answers to those questions. Here, they will ask you about any social service programs that you are currently involved with. If you receive general assistance or general relief, the Workforce Investment Act, temporary aid to needy families, or if you're a tech prep student, feel free to click any of those options below. And then they will ask you some military questions. So if you are a former veteran of the United States military, feel free to input the appropriate information below, such as when you started your duty in California and what your Workforce Investment Act veteran status is. If you or a family member has served in the military, you want to select the answers to these questions. So they will ask you whether you are a dependent of a veteran, if you're a veteran with a disability, if you've received VA benefits, and what your active military status is as of this year. So you want to make sure to indicate the correct answers to those questions. Other questions they will ask you is whether you are a veteran, if you are a member of the active reserve, if you are a member of the National Guard, and if you are a high school student, if your parent or guardian was involved in serving on active duty, if your parent or guardian was a veteran, if your parent or guardian is a member of the active reserve, and if your parent or guardian is a member of the National Guard. If you have reached this point in the application, you are almost done. So, for the first box, the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act Statement and Release, also known as FERPA, you will select either yes or no, depending on how comfortable you feel giving Cerritos College permission to gain your information and release it to outside entities such as scholarship programs, nonprofit organizations, and other resources to help college students. If you are not comfortable, feel free to select no. The second portion of the application is to confirm that you have completed the application accurately and that you have filled out the application in its entirety. So you want to check both boxes and then proceed to sign your name. If we were in person, you would be able to have a student ambassador review your application before you submit. But for now, feel free to review your responses. You can review it as a PDF form, or you can simply click the Review My Application And you want to go over and make sure you filled out this application as accurately as possible so that you can enroll in Cerritos College successfully and so that you can be guided to certain programs and services you may qualify for. This is another box requesting if they can consent to release your information, again, to other outside entities such as the Chancellor's Office, the California Community College District. Please feel free to read through this statement, and if you consent to your information being released, feel free to say yes, and if you do not, feel free to say no. Filling out this application is very important and comes with some rules that you have to follow. So the first box discusses that you have filled out the application accurately, and the second box discusses that you are aware of the financial aid services on our campus. So feel free to select these options if they are true. And then finally, you want to check that last box acknowledging those bottom statements. And then you want to click Submit My Application, which will allow you to submit your application for Cerritos College. Once you get to this confirmation page, it means that you have successfully applied and enrolled at Cerritos College. In about 24 to 72 hours, you'll be receiving your student ID number in your email, so then you can use that ID number and continue on with the next steps for enrollment.
Congratulations, you have finished with the application to admissions. You are now accepted to go to Cerritos College. Go Falcons!
Do you have any questions? Feel free to contact us at School Relations. Our phone number is 562-860-2451, extension 2130, or email any questions you have to schoolrelations@cerritos.edu, and we will try our best to respond within 24 to 72 hours.